Hello, students. We are getting ready for the final exam. I know it's exciting. Final exam is going to have 2 hours. This is the mandatory portion. You got to have the appointment with the APC, as you probably know. Runs for 2 hours. That's the maximum length that I can do, and everybody's required to follow the student conduct code, of course. And you can kind of check it out. Don't forget, for this one, just like on the other ones, you can, in the APC or the proctoring area, use the graphing calculator tool. So if you wanted to, you can click on graphing calculator tools and kind of see the options that are available there for you in terms of, yes, you can use the TI-84 emulator, Desmos, or GeoGebra. It does not matter to me. Totally up to you. But whatever one you use, right, you should have been practicing with as well during this last chapter. All right, so let's jump in here. Go back to home. Just a reminder, if you are taking any additional optional portions, make sure that you have signed up for your Zoom block. Let me jump in here and go student view. Just real quick as a reminder, and then click on calendar. And then don't forget, click on find an appointment. So if I find an appointment for our class and I submit it, here they are. So there are not a, well, one, there's not a ton of options overall because there were not a ton of people who were wanting to take a lot of the portions. So anyway, those are, looks like some people may have already taken a few of the later times, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 11 time blocks remain open. Let me leave the student view. All right. There we go, out of student view. Let me go back to course modules. And there is a notes page here for chapter 10. And so if you kind of click on that, this one's also available for you to have open. If you click on it, this is what's going to be in there. You have definition of the sequences. These are chapter 10. The sums of sequences, I obviously just took those straight from the book itself, and then chapter 10.6 with the binomial theorem. So understanding what that notation looks like and how we write out the terms of the sequence. I've also included here, these are the bonus sections. And just so you're aware, if you choose to do any questions related to chapter 7.1 or 7.2 or section 9.4, that those will not be held against you on the final exam, as they are bonus sections entirely. So law of sines was given to you. Law of cosines is here. You got to know when to use them. And then if all three sides are known, oh, that's the area formula. And chapter 9, these are the point pieces. So I'm not asking you to memorize those. I'll give them to you. And the general equation of a conic is here. And again, kind of use something kind of like a discriminant back from intermediate algebra. B squared minus 4ac, if it's labeled this way. If it equals 0, parabola, greater than 0, hyperbola, and less than 0 is an ellipse. And then the general rotation equations on how do I rewrite it. So again, the goal of this section 9.4 was to say, give me this conic section that has been rotated, and how can I rewrite it in such a way that basically I can reset the axes so it looks like my normal hyperbola, ellipse, parabola, and I don't have to go through some other complicated formula to get there. So make sure that you look at those. And okay, so just be ready. That's available for you during the test. You don't have to memorize those formulas. That was not on the list of things that the department required. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, as you get ready for your exam, I guess I can close these other ones down. We're done with those now. I guess I should say, if you're taking the other exams, I did put in reference pages there for those different exams. So if you were taking an exam over chapter the 6 and 7, which would be opportunity number 2, the formulas that I provided for you on that test are listed here. If you're doing the one with conic sections or polar graphs, those are listed here. So again, you can use those during your Zoom portions of the exam, but this test is really more about making sure that you know what's on the APC exam. So let's see here. Yeah, so here's this notes page. So you just click on it to start. It'll open it up. If you're there, click Control and then click on the link, and it just pops open in a separate tab, and you're completely allowed to use that page. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing now and go through For the required portion, the APC portion, again, you have to do that one. I'm going to go through what kind of questions you should be expecting. So let's take a look at that. So let's see here. Clicking preview. All right. Let's see. How many total questions did I put on this one? So right now, the number of questions says 13. However, just remember, some of those questions are from chapters 7.1, 7.2, and 9.4. So those are not technically required. You can choose to do those if you wanted to or not. They are kind of bonus sections, bonus learning there. Question 1 actually is it's just I agree to follow the policies. I'm not going to cheat. That's just for academic honesty, dishonesty type of stuff. So let's see here. Okay. So question I'm going to do, question number 2. Okay. Question number 2 says, I'm going to give you a sequence of numbers from what you can see, based on what you see and observe to that point in time. Is the sequence arithmetic, geometric, neither, or both? And you select that from a little drop down. Don't have to type anything in, right? If it's geometric, what is the common ratio? If it's arithmetic, what is the common difference? So I will ask you once again to select those. And if it's, so like if, for example, if the sequence is not geometric, then one of the drop down options is NA, so not applicable. Okay, so choose NA if it is not geometric or if it's not arithmetic. Okay, so just choose NA. So you might have some NAs, like if it's neither of these, you're going to have NAs all over the place. Okay, question 3. Question 3, here we go. So this one, you type your expressions out, but I want you to find the rule for a geometric sequence. I will tell you a common ratio, and I will tell you a term. You write the general rule. And at the top, it tells you for all of these, at least on this question 3, it says for all of these, use n equals 0, 1, 2, 3, ... That's what we're using for n values, in case you want to kind of thinking, hey, now where do I start? I want you to type a sub n, and I want it to reflect using n equals 0, 1, 2, 3 for your sequence. Okay, so you create the rule, the general rule, and then you apply that rule, and I ask you to find a specific term in the sequence. So you do that for a geometric sequence, you do that for an arithmetic sequence, where I give you a common ratio or common difference. And then I go back and I say, instead of giving you those things, I'm going to give you the way the sequence continues. So I give you the list of terms, then you create the general rule and you use your equation to find the whichever term I want. Okay, so there's basically 2 questions in there for arithmetic, 2 questions in there for geometric. It just depends on the information that I give you. That's question number 3. Question number 4, this is one you're going to be kind of submitting on scratch paper. So you want to write, I'm going to give you a sequence of numbers that is added together. So it's, I guess I should say it's a series. I want you to write it in sigma notation. So I want the sigma notation for that. Okay, then I'm going to give you sigma notation. I'm going to say write it in expanded form without the sigma notation. So you got a forwards and backwards, show your work. If you choose, you could type all of it up in the box if you choose, but make sure you have all the parts. If it doesn't have all the parts, I can't give you credit for it. If you're not sure of how to do that in the response box with the insert equation, then don't stress about it. Just write it on scratch paper, but please make it clear this time. Some of you are writing a bunch of scratch paper. I'm not digging through it. I'm just not digging through it. Write question 4, put your work, and then draw a line under it and move to the next question. Do not try to cram it in a little corner and say, but it was right there. Awesome. Then you've learned to be more clear with your work. So that's what I need for question 4. Question 5. This one is talking about sums of sequences where we add a bunch of things up. Some of them might be infinite, others may not. If it is in decimal form, I'm going to ask you to calculate the exact value and then round to 5 decimal places. Okay? This will prevent you from just grabbing something and using another piece to do it without having to think about it. So if a sum is infinite, write INF. As some of these, some of the sums might be infinite. So what I'll do is I'll give you a sequence of terms and I'll say find the sum of the first blank number. And then maybe find the sum of all of the terms. So partial sums and complete sums. Then I'll give you a sequence. I'll ask you to find the number of terms in the sequence and then find the sum of the terms in the sequence. We do this for arithmetic. We do it for geometric. Find the sum of the first blank number, find the sum of all the terms. Yeah, so there's just a couple of each of those. Question 6 is a word problem. So this is one that links back to some of the word problems that we've seen in chapter 10, talking about like how things are growing or shrinking in an arithmetic or geometric way. It's a word problem. So if you're stuck on it, maybe draw yourself a little picture or sketch a little something so that you can kind of visualize what is actually happening here. And that will guide you to the sequence of terms. Use the word problem to get to the sequence of terms and then find blank something, whether it's a particular term or whether it's a sum of a group of terms. That's what I'm asking for in question 6. Question 7 is similar. So I have 2 of these type of questions that are more about sequences. One will be finite, one will be infinite. Okay. Question 8 is a recursive sequence. So if I give you a recursive definition, I tell you, like, here's the first term, and now the rest of the terms are kind of based on that, but based on some other things too. Recursively defined formulas, you should be able to find the next couple terms in a sequence. For that one, I will not be doing a sum. So I'm not going to do a sum of a recursive. Okay. What else? Question 9. The binomial theorem, our good friend. This is one where I want you to kind of show your work. I'm going to ask you to expand an expression using the binomial theorem. Make sure you have all your components in there, right? You have exponents, you have that binomial coefficient, which was done with like the combinations or NCR type of writing. And make sure your final results, it says here, my final results should have no parentheses. So use your calculator / Desmos to multiply out all coefficients. Okay. So obviously then that tells you I'm not giving you problems that are so big that it won't fit on the screen. Okay, and this is one, of course, you're going to take your work and submit it. So question 9 better be very clearly stated. If you need an additional sheet of paper, let them know. They'll give it to you. They'll give you a set of scratch paper and just use what you need. If you want a half page for this, use a half page. That's okay. Question number 10. This is a type your expression piece. And so you type your expression, and you have to find a specific term in a binomial expansion, and you have to find, there's like a part A and a part B, and you have to find a specific coefficient on a term in an expansion. And question 11 is the last kind of piece from that older material. Question 11, I ask you to compute it's kind of true or false. I've done some work. You have to determine whether that work matches. Will there be a term like this in this expansion? And you don't have to expand at all because you're looking at specific terms, and they're kind of more conceptual questions anyway as you look at them. Okay. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, so now I'm getting into the section on chapter 7 and 9, the bonus pieces. So when you're looking at bonus pieces from 7.1 and 7.2, here's what I'm going to do. Let me see. I might be able to zoom in on this just so you can kind of see. I can't tell if that's helping or not. No, it doesn't look like it is. Okay, that seems to be okay. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here real quick just to kind of show what it looks like. Where do I want to be? Yeah, this should be okay. Okay, let's see here. Share my screen. Just so you kind of understand what kind of questions I would be asking. Okay, so basically in trigonometry problems, there's givens and there's things that are not. So I'm asking you to solve the triangles using the techniques that we saw, either law of sines, law of cosines. I'm not telling you which one. You have to determine which one. If you've been practicing those problems, you should know. And this problem has, and then you have to decide how many solutions it has. So you will type in, there are 0 solutions, 1 or 2 solutions. If there are 0 solutions, you would write NA in every one of these boxes because you're saying there's nothing here. If there is 1 solution, then you will fill out the information for the first solution and you will leave the second solution blank. Sorry, you will put NA for all of the second solution. And obviously, if there's 2 solutions, you just put them in order. Okay, so only use the stuff if there are 2 solutions, otherwise write NA. And that's about it. This is what it's going to look like. And I'm going to give you a couple questions like this. Please make sure it says at the top how many decimal places to round to. So this is one version. There are other versions. Maybe it says 5, maybe it says 4. So make sure you read carefully. Okay. Read carefully. So what I've got is 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it looks like I have 4 questions there that use different numbers, angles, and everything like that. Again, for each one, 0, 1, or 2 solutions, and then you type in the values that you find, rounding to the specific number of decimal places as you go. And the last piece is I'm going to give you a triangle, and I'm going to tell you the 3 side lengths, and you have to tell me the exact value of the area, the exact value. Don't simplify, no decimals here. And what is the units on the area? Okay, so that is question 12. Question 13. So very, very similar to stuff you saw in 9.4. I will give you like a coordinate that I start with an XY, and after I do a rotation, what are the coordinates? And I'll tell you the coordinate after rotation, you got to go back. So kind of a back and forth. I'll ask you to identify a conic section based on the equation, and you just simply type ellipse, parabola, hyperbola in there. Then for a given equation, I will give you an equation. You have to identify it as ellipse, parabola, or hyperbola, and then determine the angle the equation needs to be rotated to remove that XY term. And I just ask you to type in the number of degrees. And then I want you to rotate it and write the standard form of the equation in the UV coordinate system. So again, just what you did in chapter 9.4. And then once you have it in that new coordinate system, go ahead and write the vertex if you have a parabola, or vertices if you have an ellipse, hyperbola in that UV coordinate system. Type them as points, no spaces, and put a comma between multiple points. So that right there is it. So what I've done is, if you do attempt the bonus questions from 7.1, 7.2, and 9.4, then those would be worth additional points on the exam. So you could use them to replace things that you didn't do in chapter 10, or you could choose them to do them, I guess, in a sense, almost like extra credit. But that part is up to you. So no requirement to do those whatsoever, and you can just be assessed on the stuff in chapter 10. That about wraps it up for this one. I'm going to try to do short videos on all of the exam portions from the other parts. So that should do it from here. Make sure you have your blocks reserved, right? So make sure you've got your block reserved for the 19th, 20th if you want to do the redo opportunities, and make sure that you've got your APC portion already set up and ready to go as well. All right, off you go.